So welcome everybody. This is the Orange County Asperger Support Group online session. And this particular session is one that we have visited for 5 years. This is the 5th year that we've talked about autism at work in our meeting. And I have my friends who we've been doing this for over 5 years with me, Jessica Lee from NeuroTalent Works and Rebecca Beam from Zavikon. I haven't changed it yet, but we just had a conference called the Autism and Entertainment Conference. And I just want to share a slideshow of that conference now. So let me share.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams keeping me awake. What the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
A million dreams are keeping me awake.
A million dreams, a million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
For the world.
So that was from last, I guess it'll be 2 Fridays this coming Friday, our Autism and Entertainment Conference. We got a grant from the Department of Developmental Services to provide training and education to talent that are work ready and employers to encourage them to be hiring people on the spectrum. And it kind of shows you how far we've come in 5 years. But one of my partners there at the conference, and someone we've been partnering with for the last 4 or 5 years, is Rebecca Beam, who's here from Zavikon, and she's going to share a bit about her journey and what's been keeping them busy for the last couple years. So Rebecca, it's all yours.
Oh, thanks, Judi. You know, every time I see that slideshow, and I've watched it a bunch, I smile. It brings so much joy because it was such a labor of love and a vision that Judi had that really, I say this and she's heard me say it, she put the train on the track and she kept it on there until we got it accomplished. And for the first year, it was pretty amazing. It was a highlight personally in my career to be part of that. So thank you, Judi. So we've been here before. We've presented our services. Maybe some people haven't heard about us. So I'm going to share some slides and tell you about who we are and then kind of where we've come in 2023 and 2024, where we're going. And then I'll open it up for questions. Unfortunately, I can't stay for the entire meeting. So I'll be leaving after my presentation, but I will answer questions after. So let me share my screen. Let's see. All right. So Zavikon, we are the bridge to inclusion. Zavikon, our mission is, we believe that there's a job out there for everyone to apply their talent and skills in a meaningful way. And so we're working with companies who want to open their doors to candidates to show their talents and skills. Our vision is to change the unemployment and underemployment rate and outcomes for individuals who are disabled and those who are neurodivergent through placing them in career-focused employment, while providing the support and education to the employers to help them be successful and retain these employees. And that's the services that we offer. So for candidates, we offer job readiness, we do career assessments, we provide training, resume preparation, social media branding, interview preparation. We place individuals in jobs. We do the career coaching, job accommodation, identification. We call those success factors at Zavikon. Support.
Rebecca, sorry to interrupt you. Just FYI, we're not seeing your slides. So just want to let you know.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's weird. Okay, let me try again. How about now?
Perfect. We can see them now.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jessica.
Of course.
And then we continue to advocate for the candidates that we place in jobs. So the highlights for 2023 for us, it's 2023 it was a big year. 2024 is also a big year. We launched in March of 2021, and my business partner, her name is Hilarly Kokenda, and together we just had this vision of the organization. And admittedly, we've had to pivot and figure out new ways, because in 2023 was an interesting year for employers in general. A lot of them had hiring freezes or layoffs. And so we're trying to open these doors. So we really had to get very creative and figure out, how we were going to open those doors. But luckily, we got a grant, a workforce grant through the Department of Developmental Services, the same grant that helped Autism and Entertainment Conference come to life. And we call our grant Zavikon Supported Placement. Also, during 2023 and into 2024, we completed a neurodiversity program, proof of concept project at a major entertainment studio that brought 5 people on. And we trained 30 managers on how to be neurodivergent friendly employers. We also launched an internship program at a major educational institution, and we've placed 3 people to date in that internship program that's just brand new, and we have 7 new openings, and many of these positions are remote work. So a lot of opportunity there. Of course, we were involved in the Autism and Entertainment Conference, and through that, we've placed 19 people through the grant. I think there's more actually, but that's, a conservative number. And then in this year, we're working on getting our vendorization with the regional center and also the DOR, so we can continue to offer services through those entities. So I'll talk a little bit about our grant through DDS. It was to improve competitive integrated employment outcomes for individuals with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent regional center clients. It also it subsidized a large portion of our fees to companies to hire. So we don't charge our job seekers any money to be part of our database. So the money that we charge goes to the companies who are hiring. And this was, something that could subsidize, so we could open it up to small and mid-sized companies that maybe didn't have budget for hiring from an agency. And also it funded departments within larger companies who didn't have the budget as well. We have a goal of completing 68 CIE placements. It started last year in January and ends this year in June. So far, we have 46 placements to date. Again, a conservative number. I think it's a little higher because we've had a few come in just through the AIE conference. And we also are working to build a sustainment model to continue our work beyond June with the companies that we're working with, and we've opened their doors. The other thing that we've been exposed to through these employment grants, through the Autism and Entertainment and Zavikon supported placement, was the paid internship programs, both through the regional center and the DOR. And these are really interesting programs. You might all be aware of them if you're regional center clients or with the DOR, but we can get a subsidy of 1,040 hours of wages covered by the regional center for employers to open their doors to individuals. And so we've learned how to work in getting these paid internship programs arranged and set up. And so we actively work with all the different regional centers to do this. Now, with that said, every regional center has their own process and way of doing it. It does take time. It's not like overnight. Usually takes us about 3 to 4 weeks to get them set up, but we know how to do it now. And we also are working with the Department of Rehabilitation that can also offer paid internship wages covered for 300 to 999 hours. So these are excellent programs that Zavikon has gotten entrenched with, and we are actively making them happen. For the regional center consumers, you can have 1 paid internship program per year. And that 1,040 hours can go across 12 months. Through all of this, we do the support for our customers, which is our clients, our companies that are hiring. We go in and we work with them to make their jobs more neurodivergent friendly so that they can attract talent. We look at those jobs and we help them understand how to create job descriptions that attract talent, not detract from talent. We also do supported interviews, which I do believe is one of our secret sauces to how we are successful, because we make sure that we are setting both parties up for success in the interview by working with the interviewee to find out what types of supports they might need to be set up for success, and then also educating the client on how to interview that individual properly. And then once we place somebody, we work with onboarding, and then we help facilitate the state programs that I talked about. And then we stay for 90 days doing career coaching and accommodations implementation for both sides to make sure that everybody's set up for success. We'll stay longer if we need to with the client, and with anybody we place, we'll stay with them forever, and I know that works because I've placed people in 2021 and they're calling me, today asking about how do they get a raise, or how do they get a promotion, or they're thinking about going into a different type of career, and we're coaching them. So I'm very proud of that. So how do you start with Zavikon? You can email us at info@zavikon.net. You can fill out our contact form online, or I'm going to give you a QR code at the end of this that you can just scan, and it'll send an email directly to us with some information you can fill out. We'll reach out to you with some forms and a scheduling link. And that scheduling link, you'll go into our next step with our recruiter, who will conduct a meet and greet over Zoom. And it's about 30 minutes. We get to know you. We really want to know our job seekers and what they're looking for and what type of careers they're wanting. After that, you'll receive some additional forms and our assessments. That includes a personality questionnaire, computer proficiency, and basic skills. We don't put a lot of weight on those, but it does give us some insight into our candidates. So common question is, well, if I don't do well, will I not be considered? Absolutely not. You will be considered regardless of whether you do well in those evaluations or not. Once we receive the information back from you, we'll start strategizing on opportunities and companies that match your career desire. We'll keep you informed. We request that people actively check in with us at least every other week. Our employment services are free for job seekers. We cannot promise we'll find you employment, but we do promise we'll do our best. So a few success stories. I think these are really, really important to tell, because it is the essence of why we do what we do. The first young man, his name is Jason. He had spent so many years unhappy doing digitizing documents, and quite honestly, in an environment that was abusive, and he never made above minimum wage. And I was working with him on job readiness. And one day he shared with me his love for swimming pool vacuums and how he learned to take them apart and fix them on his own. And he had this company that he loved their swimming pool vacuums. He really knew every make and model and every defect. I was like, well, tell me more about that. So we were able to reach out to the CEO of the company, international company. And the CEO responded in less than 24 hours and opened the door for us to find an opportunity for Jason. He was hired in July of last year. He's been there for a year as a quality technician, and he's doing great. And he's going to reach his career goals. He loves it. They love him. They're amazed at his knowledge. And it was just that one moment of figuring out what would be a good match for him. Jacob, another one, had not found employment. He had continued his education, kept getting bookkeeping certifications. This is one of our AIE placements. And he was hired by a production finance team to upload and categorize files with intent to advance into a bookkeeper position. He fulfilled his paid internship program, and now he will be starting again with the same company in a bookkeeping job in production finance. They've requested him back, and he will be another AIE placement for us. And so we are just absolutely thrilled with Jacob's success, and he's been able to really expand. And I do believe that this company will hire him in a full-time role after this next internship. And then Jordan is somebody I've worked with for a long time, lost his job of 30 years due to COVID. We placed him in a mortgage company. He did great. He was thriving, but then we all know what happened with the economy, and a lot of mortgage companies were suffering. So he did lose his job. But we at Zavikon were able to bring him on through a paid internship program as a data entry coordinator and teach him Salesforce skills. And we're hoping to be able to bring him on again. He ended his paid internship with us, but we're working on some alternative programs for him to continue with us. He's brilliant. He's fabulous. We love him. A lot of people ask me, what's the origin of our name? Well, there it is. Zavikon is the bridge to inclusion. So when we were naming the company, went out and looked up the shortest international bridge. It is this little bridge that connects an island in Canada called Zavikon Island to the island in New York that they use as their backyard. It's argued that this could be the shortest international bridge. And so we like to say we strive to be the shortest bridge to inclusion. Here is the QR code. If you'd like to scan that, that will lead you to an email that you can fill out, and it'll lead you to our info@zavikon.net. We are open to working with any type of talent, whether it's finance, tech, entertainment, you name it. So if you're interested, please reach out and we will start the process to get you into our database as a job seeker. And I'll leave that up. And I'll open it up for questions.
If you have a question for Rebecca, you can either take your, put it in the chat, or let me quickly look at you and maybe we can call on some people. Rebecca, let me. Let's see. There we go. View gallery. There we go. Okay. Is there any questions for Rebecca? Chase has a question, and so does Sabad. So Chase, you first.
Hi, Rebecca. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Good. So I'm gonna graduate an electrical engineer major, and I was wondering if you have any connections to any electrical engineering companies.
We do. Yes, we absolutely do. And another strategy that we will work with our candidates on, if there's a particular company that you're targeting, we will work with you to send out emails to the individuals that we might already know, our people and their talent acquisition teams, to make them aware of your candidacy. So we can work with you to target the companies that you would really like to work for and do a marketing campaign to help you open those doors.
Okay. I do have a couple follow-up questions, if you don't mind.
Nope, not a problem.
Well, I do want to ask, by marketing campaign, do you mean over social media or towards the individuals themselves through email?
Typically, we'll do it via email, but we also can do a social media campaign. It's not, it's up to the candidate if they want that to happen. We'll work very closely with you to determine what the best strategy is and what you're most comfortable with.
Okay. And then one final question,
Sure.
actually partially two. Do you have tutoring for not really tutoring, but coaching for electrical engineering interviews? People that would know the more technical side of it?
We do not. That is a really, really good question. One of the things that we can do, so we do job readiness, and we do charge for the job readiness coaching, and it's typically through self-determination funding at the regional center. However, if we're targeting a certain type of career, we will typically go out and try to find individuals who will work with us to prepare interview questions that we can simulate. And we also do informational interviews with professionals. So we'll set those up. But that is a service that we offer. And there are charges and fees for our job readiness trainings.
All right. Okay. And yeah.
One more, Chase.
I would just use the traditional link to the link you gave to inquire about all this.
Absolutely. Or you can just reach out to info@zavikon.net.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, Rebecca, you have a few in the chat, so let's do a couple there before we go to one of our live questions, because I think there's some good ones in here. Do you also do career guidance assessments for individuals who need help identifying a suitable career?
Yes, we do. So we have career counseling. Again, it's a paid service. What we do is a career assessment that looks at 3 different assessments, which is your Myers-Briggs, the Holland Code, and your grit score. And it will help drill down and identify 100 jobs and different career families that your personality and your education is most suited for. And then we'll work with you to help identify jobs that you might find interesting and the path towards them. If you, some of the careers might require a certain education, other careers do not. So if you don't, want to get an secondary education, then what we will do is we'll identify those careers that might be a good fit for you. And then we'll put together a plan on how we can go about getting you into those careers.
Okay, I'm
Did
going
you
to do
say
one more.
those
and then
charges? Oh,
I'm sorry.
Did you say those charges would be covered by the regional center or they're private pay?
If you are a self-determination client, you can use your self-determination funding for those charges.
Okay.
So someone had a question, and then I'll call on you, Sabad, because you've been waiting so patiently. Do I have to go through the regional center? This person has a son who is a regional center client, or do I go directly to Zavikon?
You come directly to us, and then in our forms, you'll fill out that you are a regional center client, and then we can work with you to figure out the best path if you want to use this for job readiness. And like I said, we are getting vendored with the regional center, so these services hopefully in the very near future can be covered directly through the regional center as a vendor to them. But if you have self-determination, you can also utilize this in your budgets. But come directly to us and we can discuss what type of services that you want. If you just want to be in our database as a job seeker, that is completely free.
Okay. Sabad, you've been waiting so patiently. You had a question.
Let me go ask you 2 questions.
Go for it.
I'm just letting you know that I work 2 jobs. One, I work for Catella Deli, and second, I work for Insight at my family's business. So is there a way I can get a career in computers and office so I can earn more money faster, like between $20 to $30 an hour?
Well, it depends on your skills. So what I would recommend is that you scan the QR code, and if you can, in that email that it populates, you can send your resume, and then we can look at your resume and talk to you about opportunities.
And also, second question. And when people go to work, how many hours a day do they work, and do they use social media often, or do they make friends often at work?
Well, it just depends on the person. But it depends. If you're working remote, you can make friends over remote working. You can make friends in the office. It really depends. We don't recommend that people use social media when they're actually on the job, because it distracts from what you're supposed to be doing. However, of course, you can make friends at work outside of work. And in terms of how many hours that you'll be working, we work with you to figure out what's best for you. And we try to find employers that will accommodate that.
So I have 16 years of 5 different jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I look forward to seeing your resume.
So Bob, the next step is for you to actually email Zavikon at info@zavikon.net.
Yep.
So Rebecca, there's a few more questions in the chat, and let's go through a few more, and then we'll want to switch over to Jessica, and maybe you can answer some of these in the chat. One question: do you only place full-time employment, or do you assist with part-time as well?
Part-time as well.
Is this program suitable for someone who's currently working but is looking to transition to a different career?
Yes.
And do I also have to be enrolled in DOR or regional center?
No.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, they want to know when you think you're going to be vendored with, I think, DOR.
We're just starting the process. I think it'll go fairly quickly, because of what we've been told, but I'm not sure what fairly quickly means in DOR lingo. So not sure.
Okay. And do you support high schoolers?
It depends. If they're 18 years or older, yes.
Okay. There was some questions about whether you work with other other people
Work with
besides
all
those on the
disabilities.
spectrum.
Yeah, we work with all disabilities.
This is an interesting question, and I think maybe we should end here. Do employers have neurodivergent hiring quotas? That's an interesting question, isn't it, Rebecca?
Well, no, they don't, unfortunately. However, employers, Jessica, Judi, myself, and many others are out there raising awareness that it's really important for employers to open their doors to neurodivergent workers and to also have inclusive working environments. And so no, there are no quotas, but we are encouraging employers to open their doors, because we all know from studies that diverse workforces create higher productivity.
So let's transition to Jessica, but since we're all three here right now, and I know, Rebecca, you're going to be leaving in a sec, I just want to, we've been doing this for at least a half dozen years for me, and I know, Rebecca, you've been doing it even longer. What do you feel that the world is changing? Are we seeing more inclusivity in the companies that you're working with, or is it just the same? Are we breaking through?
We're breaking. We're
Yeah.
breaking through 100%. I definitely think not only are we breaking through to employers, we're breaking through to government. We're letting them know. And Judi, I stole what you said. AIE was a perfect example of government, private sector, nonprofit coming together to create something. And same with Jessica, with the programs that she's been able to tap into through the government and getting them to pay attention. There are people out here who want to do the hard work. We want to open those doors. We just need the funding. They're starting to open that up. So I think it's a collective of all of us coming together, pushing the employers, raising the awareness, making sure they understand the benefits, educating them on how to support. It's working.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think one of the positive experience about this GDS grant was how responsive they were to our specific needs and desires. So for example, this was a grant, Jessica's working on a grant with DOR. This was a grant with DDS, so it was regional center. But we asked them that we could include people that were not regional center served, because we know that not everybody with autism is a regional center client, and they were agreeable to that. So I do feel that we're making headway, but it takes all of us doing it. Jessica, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. And, when we started this work like 8 years ago, people had no idea what neurodiversity is. And now people come to us ready with employees who have disclosed in their companies, and they're saying, how do we do this right? So it has really changed, and it's going to be so important for all of us to keep doing what we're doing and introducing us to business partners and people that because companies are really active in doing this now. So, but it'll take all of us to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point, I'm going to let Rebecca move on to the thousands of other things on her to-do list. Rebecca, if you want to stay a few minutes and answer the questions in your chat. And then Jessica will be excited to hear from you. I've known Jessica for years and years. We've worked together, although we haven't worked together much in the last couple years. And so we're excited to hear more about what each other is working on. So Rebecca, I'm going to take you off of the screen here.
Thanks, everybody.
Take me off.
Thanks, Rebecca. We had a call earlier, Rebecca and I, and we were saying like, it's just, we feel so lucky to work with each other, even though, you know, we're peers, we're partners, and how nice it is to all work together. So always good to be here with you and with everyone here. All right, Judi, should I start sharing?
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of my image from the screen.
Okay, we like seeing you. Okay. Give me a sec here. All right. Is everyone hopefully seeing my deck?
Yes, it's beautiful as usual.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Always really, really impressed with Judi, with OCASG, and just how many parents and individuals come to these events. It says a lot about the community you've all built. So just so grateful to continue working with you all, and sharing, you know, very similar to what Zavikon does. And as we were just saying, we're partners in advancing neurodiversity inclusion and employment in the workplace. So some of this might sound very similar. And, you know, what's important to us is that we work together. And so whoever is the best to serve you or what you need, we refer people to each other all the time. So who are we? We are NeuroTalent Works. We are also a nonprofit that's advancing neurodiversity inclusion and really wanting to connect employers to neurodivergent talent. We are based in Los Angeles, but we've been serving all of Southern California and now all across the country. So we're really excited about that. We, similar to Zavikon, we're the bridge in this employment gap, really connecting our untapped talent pool of neurodiverse talent to companies. And Rebecca did a great job explaining that, so I'm not going to talk too much about that here, but very similar. And so how do we do that? We have 3 core programs. The first is business readiness, really wanting to partner with companies in their strategy of how they might include neurodiversity into how they do all of their work, from a diversity standpoint, from hiring to retaining your talent. So many people, what's been so encouraging to see, our employees in companies are starting to disclose and ask their employer for supports and accommodations. And that's driving companies to really understand neurodiversity better. And so we really encourage and see this groundswell that's happening at an individual basis, which is so encouraging to see. The other program is our talent readiness program. So all about partnering with job candidates, which I hear there are some on this call, and providing training and a community for self-advocacy. So I'll go into it shortly of some of the specific services and trainings that we have. And then ultimately wanting to deepen our business partnerships and to match individuals to jobs and be a continued partner to all of our businesses that we work with. We consult on accommodations processes. We build roadmaps for neurodiversity inclusion for companies, and really wanting to partner with companies to do this right and to do it well for a long-term view. So for all of the job candidates that are here, we provide both individual services and some group trainings and events. So very similar to Zavikon, if you submit your resume to us, you will get emails about all of the events that we put on. You'll also get emails about any job opportunities that might be a match to whatever your interests are or what you're studying. And some of these individual services we have, resume and cover letter review and feedback. We will do one-on-one mock interviews. I heard someone asking about that earlier. And then starting to do more professional development coaching. So job coaches work with you one-on-one. Our coaches work with you more at a broader level of what you need to just be optimized in how you do your work in any job that you're in. And this can be, we started getting calls from employees that are neurodivergent already working in companies looking for coaches to grow and develop. And so that's something that we're able to provide now also. Then we have our group training events. Every month we have a neurodivergent networking group. So this is a time for you to meet any peers that are neurodivergent, led by one of our team members who's neurodivergent. And she does this monthly to talk about applying to jobs for people who are in jobs. It's just a way to have a community, because we know sometimes it can be lonely and there's a lot to figure out as you're finding a job or trying to be productive and grow in a job as well. We also do a training on resume and interview preparation, and then on self-advocacy and workplace supports and accommodations. You know, how do you decide if you want to disclose a disability, but more importantly, how do you talk about how your mind works and what are the supports you need to be most successful in your work? And so that's a training that we do quarterly as well. So I'll send you this deck, Judy. You can share this with these links. Submit your resume to us. We have resources, a page of all types of resources, other organizations like Zavikon, like OCASG, for every stage of trying to figure out and find a job. And then our events page on our website as well. So I do want to share about 2 opportunities we are actively looking for job candidates for right now. Sorry, these are not in Orange County, but they are in Los Angeles. So wanted to share this. Sprint Ray is a 3D dental printing company. So if anyone likes 3D printing, we are actively searching for candidates for their internship opportunities that are going to start pretty quickly here, actually. So if you or someone you know is interested, please get in contact with me as soon as possible. It's a QA testing position, so testing the 3D printers, both the hardware and the software, to make sure the printers, quality checked for completeness. We're also looking for a test automation engineer, so someone who has coding experience and background. And then the next role we'll be doing is a bottler and labeler. So this is does not require technical skills. However, all of these are in person, full-time in Glassell Park, which is right south of Glendale in Los Angeles. So if you know anyone, please get in touch with us for this. There's also an insurance agency that we're working with looking for an accounting, an administrative assistant position in person, same thing, full-time. This is a job, so a full-time job with benefits in Santa Monica. So we always appreciate any help to spread the word as we're staffing for these roles. So please let me know and get in contact with me. This is just an example of companies that this is what we try to do, bring opportunities, job and internship opportunities to our community. So getting in our resume database is really important so that we can contact you if there are opportunities that match your background and your skills. So okay, who are other companies we work with? This is not all of them, but really excited to show, and Judy, you've now seen this double in size in the past year. This is what we're out here to do. We really need more business partners, and you see a lot of insurance companies here, which I'm going to talk about our insurance program shortly, and share about some case studies of how we've worked with these partners. So what do we do with businesses? If you work at a company or you know any senior leaders, executives at companies, you have a best friend who works at a company who think, you hear about job opportunities, we are here to talk to anybody about where they are. And some companies have never heard of neurodiversity before. And so the first meeting is just introducing them to the concept of it. And do you want to maybe bring us in to do training for your employees? Or this month is Autism Awareness Month, so we join a lot of companies to do training this month. Just any way to elevate awareness and education about neurodiversity helps all of us, all of our organizations, to move forward. With our business partners, these are our 4 key services. One is consulting, so looking at all of any process in the company, especially in human resources, of how to make a workplace that's more inclusive for all different types of minds. The second is our training and our workshops, and I'll show you those shortly, the trainings that we do for companies. And I saw on Rebecca's slide too, like getting managers ready and understanding neurodiversity is going to help all of their employees. And it's so important. That's part of the change that we make, is partnering with managers and hiring teams. Then talent acquisition, of actually sourcing and staffing, providing our talent pool, introducing our talent pool to our partners. And then talent retention, this coaching that we're starting to do, and sometimes customized training for teams to make them more neuro-inclusive. So these are the trainings that we provide to companies. We do an introduction to neurodiversity. We do a training on inclusive hiring practices for interviews. We do a deeper dive of inclusive leadership, neurodiversity at work. We talk about different dimensions of our minds so that we can have better conversations about all of, appreciating all types of minds, our own minds, and then the minds of others, and giving language that we can talk about it that's not around diagnoses and really about how we do our best work. And then the last one here is a HR workshop that we do. So for human resource professionals specifically, we do workshops to prepare HR teams to be neuro-inclusive as well. I'm not going to talk too much about our coaching, but we do provide coaching, and it's really to elevate the relationship between a manager and a new hire or a neurodivergent employee. And our coaches really just are empowering that relationship. And so just making aware that this is a service that we have. So you heard Judi and Rebecca briefly mention about a grant that we got from the DOR. And this really allowed us to take everything we do, everything I just shared, and consolidate it into one program and one industry. So I love it that, Judi, you've been going after the entertainment industry. This year, we've been targeting the insurance industry. And so I can share a bit more about this program and where, some of the success we had. So this program, what DOR really wanted us to partner to do was to advance job opportunities in the insurance industry by having candidates trained. We did a 3-week training and certification. So students walked away from our training with a certificate on principles of insurance and had mock interviews with actual insurance professionals. And right now we're working on getting students work experiences, and hopefully that will turn into a job. Meanwhile, we were able to train businesses, so insurance companies who wanted to partner with us to provide a work experience. We were able to train them. And again, hopefully the goal ultimately is for job placements. Just to show you kind of what the training entailed, it was not just about insurance, but also about a business professional mindset and the skills that are important. We even had one-on-one manager meetings, just like you would meet with a manager in your job every week. You met with one of us as if we were your manager. And it was really important to practice these business professional skills, to be on time, to ask thoughtful questions, and to actually practice in an insurance mock system of transacting an insurance policy. So that was part of the training. And then a 5-part series on principles of insurance. So what is the insurance industry? An overview of personal and commercial lines, how insurance transactions happen, and then how to read an insurance policy. And students walked away with this certificate if they finished. And actually, we're really proud. All of our students who started the 3-week training finished the 3-week training. So we're very proud of all 27 of our students. What's important to note here, and again, I know I'm talking more in a business sense here, but one of the biggest barriers we see to employment is the interview process, which is typically set up to be based on your verbal communication skills. How good are you at convincing me that you're a good candidate for this job? Instead, what we do with companies is skills-based interviews, where candidates actually demonstrate and showcase their skills for the job so that we reduce that bias. So this is an example of this mock insurance system that we built, and candidates had to be pre-screened. They had to be able to follow this policy on the left. It's like a job procedure, and enter the data into the system. We watched them ask really good questions, and that there was a proficiency with technical skills that are required for these types of jobs in the insurance industry. We've now built several skills-based interview systems and activities. And so companies like this so much that one of our insurance companies is licensing this tool from us to use for every single interview they do. So this is what we partner with companies to do, to design a skills-based interview as well. So some case studies and to share about some of our partnerships. In the insurance industry, we're so excited because we've worked with all types of companies, with large carriers like Chubb, with brokers like Alliant and Gallagher, and then small family-owned agencies like Weaver Associates and Mainline Insurance. And we're talking about other partnerships beyond these like transaction processing roles. We're doing accounting, IT roles, research, design, marketing, communications, really showcasing like we know neurodivergent individuals can do all types of jobs. And so we're really excited. And if anyone here has connections to insurance companies or whoever you do insurance with, we would love to talk to them about this program and finding great candidates to be hired. All of our partnerships have different highlights to share. With Alliant, we're doing an entire roadmap. They're training their entire company on neurodiversity. We're consulting, and they're really wanting to build an entire pipeline for the insurance industry with us. And then the other companies that are just doing single hires with us for roles that they need immediately. Many insurance companies are outsourcing some of these roles, but they're loving that they have an alternative now and to do good with us. And so this is, some of what we're doing with the insurance companies. And then our really large engagements, like with Thermo Fisher that we did last year, where you can see here, this is a lot on the screen, but all types of partnership activities, a roadmap that the company now has for neurodiversity inclusion. We built a playbook for HR teams of how do you make inclusive hiring practices. We recorded micro trainings, and we're building a digital neurodiversity training suite, 5 to 7 minute videos to learn about neurodiversity. And we're going to start providing that as a membership. You can subscribe into getting this training. And then employee resource groups in the company, where so many neurodivergent employees have now built an employee resource group, and they're bringing in speakers. We did trainings, we did a panel event with managers, building resources for their employees internally. And so there's just so much that a company can do. And it all just starts with one thing, one meeting, to then talk about what companies might want to do in this way. So Judi always asks, like, okay, how can we get people involved? How can you help? The biggest help for us is to introduce us to businesses. This is a screenshot from mock interviews that we did with insurance companies and our students in our program. And it was so meaningful. So many people may not know someone who's neurodivergent, never met somebody who is. And so our mock interviews allow us to bring business partners to our candidates in a really low risk way, to just be exposed to neurodivergent talent and to have a way to meet and make these human connections. So we would love to meet any business partners that you might have referrals to and introductions that you can make. The other thing you can do is really share and like our posts. I'm really excited. We are publishing a white paper this month with the American Enterprise Institute. And the paper is about what we're saying is unleashing America's largest untapped talent pool. And we're going to be having an event to speak about our key findings in this research paper. And our goal is that this gets shared widely for business owners, for CEOs, just to see and know about this untapped talent pool, and again, to create more employment opportunities. So we really appreciate it if you would help share this paper, and that'll be posting this month in our all of our social media channels. And then we post a lot of posts that you can see here, resharing it, just helping to increase awareness out in the world about what it means to be neurodivergent, and that we do need all types of minds. You can contact us for business partnerships. We have our email here. If you're a job candidate, you can email our talent team. And again, submit your resume to us on our website. So I'll leave this up for a second. And I think we have some questions in the chat.
Yeah, let's look for them.
Okay.
So if you have a question, you can raise your hand. Why don't we call on Sabad while I'm looking through your chat here?
Okay, thank you. And I'll look too. Hi,
Hey,
Sabad.
Jessica.
Yeah.
What was the name of the company that's located in Glendale?
It's called Sprint Ray. Yeah, I can put it into the chat. Let me do that.
And Jessica, do you use Facebook often, Instagram or LinkedIn? And do you make friends often at work? Or do you go to social clubs and activities often after work between Monday and Friday? What time to what time?
Yeah, I usually try to finish work by like 5:30 or 6 p.m. And yes, it's very important for me to have a community and friends that I connect with outside of work. So I play tennis and I go to strength training. And yeah, it's very important to have balance and to connect with other peers and friends.
How often do you go to school right now? Do you want to go back to school after you graduate from college?
I'm actually already graduated. I'm working full time. I run NeuroTalent Works, so this is my full-time job.
Okay, thanks, Sabad. Let's see if anyone else has any questions for Jessica. Raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. I just want to reiterate something that Jessica said and tell you how important it is. And when you hear my presentation, you'll see that to really change the world, each of us has to do at least a little bit. That if you are focused on just your child or just yourself, maybe you'll get a job for your child or yourself, but you won't have changed the world. And you can do just little things, like Jessica says, a social media post, or participating in one of her mock interviews, or doing an introduction. All those things are so important and helpful, because the more people that participate in trying to increase awareness of the importance of neurodivergent hiring, the more likely we are to build change. And so Jessica and I have been asking for this for 5 years in terms of you guys introducing us to companies. Some of the companies, I know that some of the companies that Jessica is working with were introduced by OCASG members. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So Jessica, Chase has a question.
Yeah, hi Chase.
Hi. So I did have another question similar to the one I asked Rebecca. Basically, besides the Thermo Fisher company, do you have any other links to any other electrical engineering or just engineering adjacent companies?
Yes, we do. We work with some of the utilities that have engineering positions and some tech companies that we're starting to talk to. So the best way to get in touch is to submit your resume to us. And once you do that, you can also request a mock interview with our team as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume you guys don't have someone that's going to be able to focus on the technical side of things. It's just more of the, what's the word?
General. Yeah, no, we actually do. Surprise. We're very lucky to have Paul on my team, who's our director of technology, and he has a little more experience in like technical questions. So yeah, you could send me a note and we could try to set that up.
Okay. I did miss your email.
Yeah, let me put that into the
Put
chat.
it in the chat. So
Yeah.
Jessica, while you're doing that, someone had a question about jobs for creative people in Orange County. If you have anything related to that.
We do not have any in view right now for creative positions. But again, if you're in our resume database, we will reach out when we have roles that are relevant.
Okay, and have you worked with mechanical engineering companies in San Francisco area?
Not specifically in San Francisco, but we're always open to it. And same thing, get into our database, and if we do, we will send it to you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Jessica? Jessica, it's so amazing. I just want to thank you. I get your emails all the time. And when Jessica talks about having these monthly workshops, they are happening. I know a lot of you from time to time want someone to look at your resume, want to do a mock interview. And I think that's one unique thing about NeuroTalent Works is they're consistently delivering those services for no charge that will help you along your way, as well as meeting other people who are on a similar journey, which it's nice to have that support. And it's nice to have seen you expand and grow and consistently offer those to folks who need them.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Judi. And yeah, we'd love to meet you all. So please get in contact.
Okay. Well, Jessica, you want to stay for a little bit, and if people put questions in the chat,
Yeah, definitely.
I'll move on with mine here.
Sounds good. Thank you all so much.
Okay. Most of you know me, but I just kind of wanted, oh, I'm not sharing. That's Zoom 101 here. Okay, I just want to, I'm a mom. I'm retired from a career in technical marketing. My son Josh is now 32. This is kind of his story about his journey, graduating from high school. I got associated with OCASG because of my interest in Toastmasters, was on the board in 2014 and became president in 2016. And when I became president, one of the first things I did as a marketing person was do a membership survey. And I basically learned that this employment question was the top question for our members. And I started focusing on employment. And that's where I met Jessica and where I met Rebecca. And my philosophy really is that there's a lot of resources out there. Unlike when you're in high school and you have resources come to you, you have to go and find the resources, and you have to find the right resources for what your career is. I really like the way Chase was asking questions about basically what his needs are and what he was looking for. And so what I try to do is I bring in the resources. We bring in DORs come in a number of times, regional centers come in a number of times. We've had all sorts of different job developers, people that the Able Coffee Works, different organizations that are doing hiring. We've had New Vista Academy, lots of different organizations to help you find work. Let's see, in 2019, I met Jessica, and I have been associated with the Orange County Local Partnership Agreement, the Transition Initiative, working with people like Linda O'Neill and people with DOR, the Regional Center, a lot of the employment-related programs at different nonprofits, and became familiar with Lawrence Fung from the Stanford Neurodiversity Project. He's come and spoken to us at least a couple of times. It was clear that we really didn't have a DOR vendor who was focused on careers. Most of them were focused on employment as it related to just somebody called them high school jobs, like working at the movie theater, working at the grocery store. Evo Libre was one of the few DOR vendors who was actually focused on college degreed folks and was up in Northern California, and we work with them to have them come down here. Rebecca and Hillary and I started Career Club, and it was at this point that I met Patricia Turney and started formulating the autism and entertainment idea. So we did Career Club a couple of times. The concept of Career Club was about a 3-month program where we had anywhere from a half dozen to a dozen participants who were college degreed and were looking to launch their career. And we provided a workshop format where we taught a lot of different concepts from LinkedIn and doing your resume and interviews and figuring out what career. And we used a book that served as our text for that. And we did it twice. And it was helpful. I think a number of people helped kind of figure out their career, but it really didn't solve the problem of getting people hired overall. And also, it was a little frustrating because there was a lack of follow through we didn't have a lot of people necessarily participate every session. And so we kind of let that rest. And it was around that point that we started the Autism and Entertainment Work Group. In general, most of the programs that I work on for OCSG has little benefit for my son. But my son was interested in entertainment, and I thought I was going to take a similar path that Jessica described in terms of insurance and look at it as from a vertical market, with the idea that if you focus on a specific industry, maybe you would be more successful than if you just tried this horizontal peanut butter approach where you worked across a number of organizations. And we were able to get the grant from the Department of Developmental Services. I also started working on another topic, and I'm going to deep dive into both of these in a sec. And that was on Social Security reform. There was, I was about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a Build Back Better series of workshops where there were discussions that were led by different groups to get feedback on what kinds of things needed to be done to help people. And so we ran one, and what became really clear was the frustration with the conflict between employment and Social Security benefits, and a fear of losing those benefits when being employed and how that was affecting employment. And so that launched me to start looking at that as an issue, and I'll share where we are with that. And this is kind of going through all that in the conference planning, so I'll go in more detail. But I just want to give you some context that there are a lot of people around the county that are working on these issues. And I know you don't think you have a lot of time, but just spending a little bit of time to help any one of these people or one of these organizations will, in the long run, help you and help your family member. So let me talk some more about this Autism and Entertainment Conference. As I mentioned, here's kind of the origin story. So I had realized that my son needed some more help in finding a job in his field, that in general, entertainment, that autism had a strong brand in technology. So where's Chase out there? Chase is going to be more welcomed into tech space than most people on the spectrum who the tech space has seen giants like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. They feel like people on the spectrum have strong technical backgrounds. A lot of the work in the Autism at Work area have been with tech companies. And so the brand for autism is strong in the tech space, but not so much in other areas. I talked to Zavikon, who I'd been partnering with the Career Club, about this idea of forming a work group focused on entertainment. And then one day I was in one of our meetings and Patricia Turney showed up. Patricia is the chair of the board for Exceptional Minds, which is one of the leading educational groups for people on the spectrum in animation and After Effects. And I told her about my idea of forming a work group to try and push this initiative. She thought it was a good idea. And so May of 2022, we did that. And we formed our work group. And then we thought, okay, we can't solve everything. What two things do we want to take on? We decided one idea was to do a conference, and the other idea was to try and fix the gig economy orientation of a lot of our benefits providers. As it turned out, a grant opened up and we applied for it, and we got the Department of Developmental Services grant to put on this conference. And we got $154,000 to put on the conference. So the goal of this conference was to increase employment of work-ready autistic talent in the entertainment industry. There were some of you who applied who really had not done the work. You maybe were interested in entertainment, but really your degree might have been in accounting, or your degree was in, or you were studying biotech, but you thought, oh, well, I'd be interested in going to an entertainment conference. This wasn't for a conference for you. It was a conference for people who had spent 2-3 years of time at least studying a field in the entertainment space. So we wanted to expand diversity to include neurodiversity. Hollywood has been very focused on diversity, but for them, diversity was about the way you look. It wasn't about how you thought. And so we wanted to change that. We wanted to improve the brand for people on the spectrum in terms of getting the entertainment industry to see that there was a lot of talent and skills in this population, which we learned was extremely true. We wanted to share resources such as Zavikon and other government programs with the industry so that they could better facilitate them leveraging the talent. And then we wanted to help the talent figure out their career path. So that was our goal. And it says today's transformation because it's a slide from the conference, but this is what we told people we wanted them to take away. So for the talent, we wanted them to meet people, to listen and learn and determine next steps. There was a huge amount of networking that happened at this conference. And there was a lot of presentations. It was from 9 in the morning to about 4:30 in the evening. Most of that were presentations and panels, and people had a lot of opportunity to learn from others, and then also to figure out their next steps. For employers, we hope we could inspire them. We wanted them to discover that this was a population worthy of hiring, and we wanted them to learn about the resources and to start considering a plan. And then finally, for caregivers, we wanted them to listen and learn as well, for them to find out other resources that were I'm going to unmute myself here.
I think we just lost you, Judi. I think you're on mute.
Every meeting, it happens like an hour.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we also wanted to inspire our caregivers to be actively involved in our movement. And we were extremely successful. And the bottom line was to have them hired differently. This was an amazing day. There was so much interaction going on, and there was a lot of inspiration that occurred. We featured a lot of people on the spectrum. Some of them are young. We made a series of videos we're calling Spotlight videos, and they're on our websites, and I'll show you where those all are. But we were also able to feature senior people like Jorge Gutierrez and Scott Steindorf and Zara Astra and Steven Silver. And there were like a huge number of people on the spectrum that had already made it. And I think that's one thing that we see happening, and Jessica kind of talked about this as well, is that a lot of people are now feeling more comfortable disclosing that they're on the spectrum. And as they do that, and as they form groups within those organizations. So for example, Ubisoft, who's the second largest game designer, has an employee resource group where they have over 400 members of neurodivergent talent that all communicate together and are able to raise awareness within their organization. So that was very inspirational, and the energy level was really high, and people were very enthusiastic to learn about each other. So for the entertainment professionals, they really learned that this group had a lot of skill set and talent that they hadn't realized. They also learned, we had a dozen educational partners there, and we could have easily had 24. There's that many organizations out there training people in game design, film, animation, special effects, and we even had an acting track. And they also learned a lot about some of the government programs that Rebecca and Jessica talked about. The paid internship program. Disney has done 3 paid internships since we started this autism and entertainment work group, because they're actively working with our work group. And we've placed, Rebecca says 19, but I think we have placed about 25 people in either little gigs or paid internship programs. The talent really felt empowered. And I think that was one of the neatest things about this conference, is I know that from time to time, having a label associated with who you are or a diagnosis can make you feel isolated and alone and underappreciated and undervalued. And I think that there were 150 people on the spectrum who were exceptional in their area of interest in entertainment, and they were all interacting with each other. And I think, and then they had role leader, people to role models to look up to. And I think it really made them walk away with a sense of empowerment, a sense of pride that I hadn't seen in any other event that I've gone to or we've put on, or anything that I've experienced. And I think that was like amazing. There was a lot of networking. You don't really expect people on the spectrum to be talking to each other that much necessarily, but there was so much interaction going on. And Jorge Gutierrez made himself so available. I saw conversation after conversation that were inspirational to individuals by their ability to talk to a role model. And then what was interesting also is how many people have late diagnoses. And so there were a lot of people with later diagnoses that were able to be role models. So people like John Frizzell, who's a very well-known composer, was there, and he had just recently gotten a diagnosis, and he's become very active with his union. And a number of people are being active in their union in terms of increasing awareness. So it was pretty powerful. This was a quote from Scott Steindorf. Scott Steindorf was one of those people who is a late diagnosis. He has a show running on PBS right now called Understanding Autism. I met him because I went to the Stanford Neurodiversity Summit. Somebody gave a talk and mentioned that he had his film Understanding Autism was being shown at the Newport Beach Film Festival, which was a couple weeks away. And I went to that, and I met him, and I met his producer, Zara Astra, and I met Elaine Hall, all at that event. But he said this, which I thought was very powerful. He said, I think a lot of autistic people have a vision because we think differently, and thinking differently is our superpower. We look at people, places, and things and ideas differently, and that's called innovation. And I think him linking thinking differently, and that whole conference itself was about being different and thinking different and hiring different. And I think that was pretty powerful. So we had lots of people involved, and this just shows you how, I saw Jana's on the call today, just how different people chipped in and spent time and worked on this conference. We had 4 regional centers involved. We had 60 plus speakers. We had corporate sponsors, some just members of our group like Payrunner, whose son Riley is going to AFA Hub and has a strong interest in this. We even reached out to CARD for some funding for our research. These are a bunch of people that we hired in the process of putting on this conference. And some of them were in our videos, but the A next to it are people that were on the autism spectrum. So you can see how many people played a role in this conference, whether it was our website that was developed by Eric Nakayama, who's on the spectrum, whether it was some translation that was done by Anastasia White, who I met in Career Club, whether it was just proofreading that was done by Monica Romero, who I met in Career Club, who's an excellent proofreader. These are our logo itself was designed by Jimmy Bordeaux, who lives in Irvine, who's a graphic designer. So I think that was amazing. And I think, you know, as you go about your job or you do things, sometimes think, is there somebody on the spectrum who I could bring on to help me with just this little project? And you give them experience and you get work done. These were the dozen educational partners that we had participating. These were people who just chose to volunteer. We advertised to OCSG members to see if folks would want to volunteer. I'll point out Michael Uram's name is on here. We've had Michael come and speak to us. He's a therapist. We had 3 therapists at the event to help people who needed some emotional support. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, just really quickly, you can go to our OCSG website. If you scroll down, and go to Autism and Entertainment. And then if you want to see some of these videos, I recommend, it's not up yet, but you can go to our YouTube channel. These are our Spectrum Spotlights that highlight different speakers. But if you go to our YouTube channel, we've already started posting Rebecca and my speech, and this is Jorge Gutierrez's speech. And I recommend watching this speech. It's amazing. And you know, some of the themes of his speech were about how failure is part of the journey and how he treats failure just like success, and it's just earning another stripe. It's a marvelous, marvelous presentation. But also I wanted to point out that all these videos were filmed, many edited by people on the spectrum. Okay, so that's that. Now, the other issue I wanted to talk about was Social Security and just kind of sharing what we've been doing on this. And this is about making all of you be enabled to make change, to make a difference. I want to inspire you, whether it's just contacting Jessica Lee and saying, hey, let me send you to my HR director because we really could use some help with neurodiversity. Whatever little thing you can do, you can make a big difference. I feel like I'm tackling some elephants here, but it took time to work up to this. So the issue with Social Security is that basically it is a problem for people who want to work because there's this fear that they're going to lose this benefit. And it's this fear, and the way a lot of the organizations out there treat it, they think it's just fear, but it's actually a real problem. People get hit with overpayment letters, they can lose their benefits from working. And so it becomes scary because you look at having SSI or SSDI, which took you so much work to get, as being a safety net. But if that safety net disappears when you're trying to work, it can be pretty scary. So we started meeting in Q1 of 2022. So I said we started the Autism Autism and Entertainment in May of 2022. So that was a busy time for me. And we've done a lot of different things. This is the team that we now have working on this. And I want you to look at some of these names. We have Amy Westling. Amy Westling is the head of ARCA. She's the executive director for ARCA. You know what ARCA is? It's the Association of Regional Centers of California. So all 21 regional centers work with our members of ARCA. That's a pretty influential person. We have heads of DOR. We have state assembly people. We have people from the State Council of Disability Rights. We have people from the Dale McIntosh Centers. These are all fairly senior people in their organizations who are working as a team to try and who recognize this as being a problem and working on solutions. We've written a white paper that analyzes the problem and looks at it, proposing solutions. We wanted to collect stories. So we've done a survey which went out, and we have over 600 responses now with people telling their stories of their experience with losing Social Security. Here's an example of what someone said. You say you want people with disabilities to work, but you penalize them. I work, so I did Social Security. It did not help me in the least. Did not answer the phone, cut off medical, sent me letters, and now an overpayment issue that was their fault. How am I supposed to work and take care of this? You say you want people with disabilities to work, but then penalize them when they do. What's the point in working if you lose everything or are misinformed? Why not just sit down and live off SSI or SSDI? Well, I wanted to work, and I do. I assist people with disabilities and have a son that's disabled too. The SSI, SSDI people that don't want to lose their benefits are right to fear losing them because there is no real help if you decide to work. Just overpayment awaits you. So this was what the survey found. It found that 67% of the respondents had a fear of losing their benefits, and that was a factor in them working. So around 2/3 were fearful about losing their benefits. And with 42%, it was a major factor. And this was based on real problems. 28% of the respondents had actually had a problem. 72% of that 28% were told that they needed to refund prior benefits paid. So they got these overpayment lenders that could be for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 of their benefits because maybe they had too much money in the bank at one point in time and they didn't know it because Social Security doesn't tell you right away that you're not in compliance. They wait 3, 4, 5, 6 years until you owe $20,000, and then they tell you, hey, you've got to pay all that money back. 37% actually had their benefits terminated. Many were told they were no longer disabled, and many 14% lost their medical insurance. So these are real. I just want to share some good news. I was reading an article that said that Social Security was modifying how they were going to deal with overpayment and doing some good things. So I feel like we're not the only ones working on this. There's about 7 other states working on this. Many of these people still had problems unresolved. 138 of 165 people had contacted SSA. 36 people indicated that they were never responded to. 44 people had to escalate to a judicial review. And out of the 64 reported problems, many still needed help resolving it. So this is a real problem. This is more about the survey. And we met with Dennis Campos, who told us a lot about how people determine whether someone's entitled to be on Social Security, which was really interesting. So those are some examples of things, the way I'm approaching representing you with employment and these employment related issues. But we have a volunteer program that Peggy Pocher's leading. Opportunities for you to choose some other issues that you want to focus in on. I just encourage you to do that. So are there any questions for me?
Judith,
Yes,
why do you keep muting me?
we try to, I'm not muting you, but my assistant Robin probably is. It's because we try to let the speaker speak. You know, you were in Toastmasters with me 10 years ago at the very beginning, 12 years ago. And you know, when someone's speaking, you like to be polite and let that person speak. So a lot of times it's distracting for the speaker when people are unmuted and they're talking in the background. So that's why we mute our guests and then we open up for conversations after the speaker is done. So do you have a question, Sabad?
Anyone in our family, do you use Facebook often, Instagram or LinkedIn often?
Yes and no. I use it in that I use it as a way to share information. So example, our OCSG Facebook group has nearly 700 members, and it's a good way to share information or for people to ask questions and participate. But I personally am not a big social media user myself because I just don't have the time.
And how much time do you travel often when you're getting older?
I haven't been traveling that much because of COVID, but now we're starting to travel and we're going to go to Hawaii in May.
I'm just gonna let you know that I'm just gonna earn my degree next year.
I
Would
know,
you like to
I've heard, Sabad, that's terrific.
Would you like
And
to
I
come to the
watched
graduation at
you on
SMC?
Love on the Spectrum too. So I just want to tell you, I
Do you want to
enjoyed
come? Do you want to come to the Santa Monica College graduation next year if you are free or available?
Well, send me a note then and we'll see. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sabad. Any other questions? Do you feel inspired a little bit? I'm just hoping. Regina's smiling.
You give people hope. Thank you for all of your good work. All three presenters.
Welcome. Yeah, you know, by me putting on this conference, I think one of the biggest joys I got was if you watch the slideshow at the end, there's some pictures. And there's a picture of me, and then there's a picture of my son Josh shooting, he was on the AV team, and he made 2 of the videos that are on our spotlight videos. So for me personally, it gave me an opportunity to have Josh get some experience and some opportunities, and some of his friends. You know, one of his friends has worked with Zavikon and got one of those internships with Disney. So it's, the more you do to help other people, the more you actually end up helping yourself to some degree. Anything else? Well, thank you. I hope, let's see, nothing in the chat. Thank you so much. I hope that you got inspired, that you realized some additional resources. Just to show you a couple more resources and then we'll call it a day. I'm going to go back to the OCSG website, and there's some things there that you may not have realized. On the resource page, there are 2 buttons. One is OC Jobs. If you click on that, every day my mailbox gets filled. Oh, this one's not updated. I need to see where the other one is. Somebody needed to tell me that. That was like a list of jobs, but I just noticed that it's the old list. We had one, I need to fix that tomorrow. A list of jobs, but also we have had, I'm glad I went to that because I wouldn't have known that that was out of date. And then our educational videos. We've had other speakers, I mentioned from Regional Center, DOR. Those are all recorded and they're here on our website. So all these sessions with employers, with job developers, here's one on certifications and apprenticeships. DOR has a number of apprenticeship programs. So this is a great way, if you're interested in learning more, that you can just grab these things. The slides are available here, and you can look through the slides and learn more about the different programs that are being offered. So those are just two things. And I'll make sure that that job list is the latest one, because we have an intern who works every Tuesday. He's on a paid internship program, and he updates that list. And every week I get 20 megabytes. Well, you probably get this, Jessica, still heavy, 20 megabytes of job listings and job and training sessions and job fairs and all that. So if you're looking for a job, just go to our resources page and that'll get updated tomorrow. So, okay, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope if you have some specific needs, we ask you to let us know, but we look to you to help us solve them, because we're all part of this together. So thank you, everybody. Good night.